Hi, I'm Eric from the National Association for Gun Rights. Today, we're going to field strip a Kimber 1911. Again, please go and review our 4 Rule of Gun Safety video on our YouTube channel. We're going to follow all the rules of gun safety. The other rule that I always have when I work on a gun, clean a gun, maintain a gun, is no live ammo. All the live ammunition is in a separate room. None of it is on my bench. So I'm going to double check that this gun is unloaded. So the magazine is out. And I'm 100% sure the gun's not loaded. Let's talk about the controls of the Kimber before we start to field strip it. Right here is the mag release. We have a safety. This gun's ambidextrous, so there is a safety on both sides. This is your slide lock lever. This is going to come into play in taking the gun down. Again, it allows you to lock the slide back. And then on the other side of this gun, you see this little button right here? This is what you're going to have to push in order to take this gun apart. Now that I've showed you some of the controls on the Kimber, let me point out a couple of little things on the slide that you're going to need. So, you've got the notch that locks it back, and you also have this little half-moon cut. Notice that. That's going to be important because when you take this gun apart, that little notch needs to line up with the little hole right here in the frame. So make sure you take a really good look at that little half moon. That's important. In order to strip this gun apart, I'm going to rack the slide back and lock it with the slide lock lever. Your Kimber is going to come with a tool that will help keep the spring depressed. Notice on the front, right in front of the frame, on the guide rod, there's a little tiny hole. You're going to take your takedown tool that was provided to you by Kimber, and you're going to place it into that little hole. And again, all this does is keep your springs compressed. Once that's in there, now I can release the slide without letting that thing come out. And now my springs are compressed. Now, the little half moon notch I pointed out, we're going to push the slide back. The way I like to do it, put your hand here, bring your other fingers over the top. That allows me to manipulate this slide with one hand. See how I can do that with one hand? Otherwise, it gets kind of hard to pull that back. So I'm going to pull it back until my half moon notch lines up with the hole. And then the little button on this side, I'm going to press on that until my slide lock lever comes up enough to where I can lift it out of there. And again, sometimes it helps to manipulate the slide back and forth a little bit. That should lift right out of there. Okay. Once that's out of there, this gun should come apart. Okay, so we've got slide lock lever, your slide, and your frame. Now let's continue to take down your slide here. Go ahead and take the tool out now. You don't need it anymore. Depress this spring, and that'll allow you to lift your guide rod and spring straight out of the gun. And it's a little bit tight, but that's because these Kimbers have tight tolerances on the springs. So that comes out. Now the barrel, some of you that are used to Glocks, you can pull that straight out. The Kimber you can't. So remove this little bushing. And the barrel, if we push this forward, will come straight out of the front of the slide. So straight out the front. You can try all day to lift it out that way like you would a Glock. It's not going to come out that way. So that's it. It's field stripped. Frame, slide, barrel, guide rod, spring, bushing, and your slide lock lever. Now that we've field stripped it, let's put it back together. Last thing I want you to do is take your gun apart and not be able to get it back together. That's just going to be reverse of what we just did. Let's take our barrel. Again, make sure this little guide that holds the pin is down. I'm going to feed the barrel through the front of the slide. Falls into the notch. I'm going to take my bushing. This bushing only goes in one way. Small end first. Has a little platform that allows it to sit on the barrel. Okay, bushing is in. Now I'm going to put my guide rod and spring back in. Notice the little half moon cut. that is also going to sit on the barrel. So I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to put the spring into that bushing. Now I'm going to depress, and this takes a little force, but not too bad. I'm going to depress the spring until it locks into place. The little half moon cut is now sitting right on the round barrel. And that's it. Slide is back together. Fairly simple. You don't need the tool that came with your Kimber to reassemble it. It just makes taking it apart a little easier. Notice the guides on the frame. You got these slides, the guides that allow the slide to go right on. So I'm going to start right here, feed them on those guides, and then depressing the grip safety, I'm going to push it all the way back until it's on the gun. Now, I've got to put this back in. So I'm going to reach around like I told you guys so we can manipulate that slide with one hand. And remember our half moon cuts. We need to get, this is a good time to see it. The half moon cut needs to line up with this hole back here. It's easier to see that when the gun's taken apart. So I'm going to manipulate this half moon cut until it is lined up with this notch in the frame. Once that's lined up, take my slide lock lever, place it in the hole. Again, sometimes it's easier if you manipulate the slide a little bit back and forth. Once it's in that hole, line up my half moon cut, and that thing should clip right into place. Let it forward, being careful not to pinch yourself inside of the action. And that's it. This gun's back together. I always like to double check things, rack it, make sure the safety works, make sure all my controls are working the way they should. But that's it. Little bit more difficult to field strip the Kimber than say a Glock, but again, nothing too bad. And that's all the further you need to take it apart in order to do maintenance, cleaning, oiling. There's no sense taking the gun further than that. We have some other videos on gun takedowns on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that, check them out. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. We're out every day fighting for your Second Amendment rights. Thanks.